Hi everyone, I'm Jody. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Friday Face Off. I love these videos and I know you guys do as well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy the community and more importantly, I hope you enjoy all the support from women on this channel in our community. Hit that subscribe button so that you can be part of women empowering women, women supporting women, and just a very positive place to come several times throughout the week. Whether you like short videos, whether you like live streams, whether you like long form videos, it's all here for you. So today's video is one of my favorites and I do them every other Friday. And today is one that I've been super excited about because it's concealer day. And if there's a product that we are forever looking for a better one, I feel like it's concealer, right? And in 2023, we saw some nice concealers come out for more mature women. And I've tested a couple and we've had some winners. A concealer that has come onto the market and made a huge splash, and I bought it because I really wanted to see how it would perform. This new concealer by Laura Mercier. It is the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Serum Concealer. At a price point of $33, I wanted to see how well it applies and wears up against the Haus Labs by Lady Gaga Triclone Skin Tech Hydrating and Depuffing Concealer with Fermented Arnica. Yes, that is actually the title of that concealer. Both offer medium coverage, both are natural finish, and both have a significant amount of skincare in them, which can be a problem for more oily under eye areas because you can get some slippage. I have a more dry under eye area as well as 53-year-old very wrinkly under eye area. So I'm curious to see how these wear. We're gonna do an application, a deep dive into the products, and then an 8-hour wear test. So let's get started and see how they hold up, and is one a better buy for your under eye area? Let's get into it. All right, you guys, I'm ready to get this started because I'm ready to finish my eye makeup. You can see how discolored the under eye area is. It's not so discolored that I feel like I need a color corrector and then a concealer. Both of these concealers say that they provide medium coverage, and I would say that's probably what I need with this discoloration. Now, I am gonna add just a little bit of moisturizer to this under eye area. I have nothing under my eyes right now. And I'm just gonna add the smallest a bit of this CeraVe night cream. This is typically the moisturizer that I would put underneath my eyes. My under eye area is a little bit dry, so I do like to add something that's really moisturizing underneath my eye. If you have oily under eye area, then you don't want to use a facial oil. You would want to use more of a serum and really allow that to penetrate underneath your eye area before adding any type of a concealer. Both of these concealers are serum formula. I do think that there's more of slippage comes with the Lady Gaga, but we'll see how that compares side by side to the Laura Mercier. Now you can also set these with powder. I am not setting them with powder today. This Haus Labs by Lady Gaga Triclone Skin Tech Hydrating and Depuffing Concealer with Fermented Arnica has been in Friday Face Off before. It has knocked off the newer concealer by Natasha Denona, although they were pretty close. It's also knocked off the concealer by NARS by quite a bit actually. I felt like this one had better coverage and it lasted longer with less creasing. Now I have not tested it up against the Gucci concealer. I really like this concealer, but I don't find it to be medium coverage. I find it to be more of light coverage, so it's not necessarily a fair comparison. This one by Gucci does build, and it builds nicely, and it doesn't have as much slip as some concealers. So if you find that your concealer tends to slip, especially if you have more oily skin, this might be a good option for you. Now, in terms of my luxury concealers, I don't usually put those in Friday Face-Offs because it's not a price point that's comfortable for everybody. But for those of you that do like a luxury concealer, my hands down go-to is this Clé de Peau. They call it a cream, but it's more of a stick concealer. I love this one. You do get quite a bit. I've used it a lot. So it's a little more pricey. I don't even remember how much this one is because I only use it for special occasions. The other one that I really like for a more creamy formula or a more liquid thin formula with less coverage is the All Hours by YSL. So again, if you prefer luxury, those would be my recommendations. If not, let's get into these two to see which of the two are better for our more mature skin. Now, this Lady Gaga is a water-based formula, so it will blend very nicely with your water-based foundations. I need medium coverage today. That purple under my eyes is definitely prominent, but it's not so deep that I need a color corrector before my concealer. This is they call it a liquid formula. It's more of a creamy formula. It has a large application on this doe foot applicator, and that's one of the things that people actually didn't like about it in the comments. It said that because it's so large, the opening to the tube is rather small. You do have to force it in, and some people found that after using this a time or two, that doe foot applicator got stuck in the tube and broke off. That was listed more than one time, so I thought it was worth mentioning. I'm gonna just put it from the applicator directly to my eye. This comes in 31 shades and again sells for $32. I just wanna put it in little areas where I have some discoloration, and then I like to run that up through my temple area. It's medium coverage, it's buildable, it's a natural finish, so you're not gonna dry down to that matte looking finish. It's hydrating, it's vegan, it's cruelty-free, and it's gluten-free. I like to let the air sort of evaporate out of my concealer a little bit, and I don't find that this oxidizes at all. Now, this does have a significant amount of skincare in it, although it doesn't list what percentage of the ingredients are skincare, where the Laura Mercier does, so we'll talk about that when we get onto that side. But in terms of skincare for the Haus Labs side, it has niacinamide, which is known to brighten and boost the skin hydration. It has a hyaluronic acid complex, which we know boosts and hydrates the skin. And to help reduce the look of redness and puffiness, it has that fermented arnica. So I'm just gonna take my finger and really lightly tap that in. I already have my foundation on, so you can see just how well that will blend into my foundation. I just like to tap. Some people like to use a damp beauty sponge. That's fine. I find that it thins the product out too much for me, and I want a more full coverage consistency because of that discoloration. Now I have this in color 12, which is light rosy. You can see it's a little bit more on the pink side or neutral to cool tones. That is what works best for me. And then I like to just tap that in through that temple area where I've lost some volume and I'm trying to create an optical illusion. So that is what it looks like when it is all blended in nicely. Again, very easy to blend. It doesn't feel tacky now that it's there. So we're gonna let it just sit there for a second. I'm gonna really press everything in to my under eye area. Now I'm not gonna set either of these with a powder. You can set them with a powder if you choose to, but to me, setting them with the powder is sort of like applying hairspray. It just sort of freezes everything in place. I want to see how these perform without powder, because as we age, powder on our more mature skin typically leads to cakiness, accentuating the wrinkles and pores, and I want to see how these perform without the addition of another product, being the powder. Because if they wear well without powder, then we can assume they're going to work even better with a very light coating of powder to help set it. Now, if you do have oily skin, applying a primer underneath and a setting powder on top of your concealer will definitely help keep your concealer in place. But I really want to see how these perform without that setting powder, because setting powder isn't in everyone's budget, and we should see what they look like without the extra help. When you look at the coverage, you can see how purple this under eye area is and how nicely that Haus Labs covered. It definitely appears more medium to light coverage. To me, I would prefer a little bit more pigmentation for that discoloration, but again, I could use a color corrector if I really felt like I still had some purple that I wanted to cover. I just prefer a medium coverage concealer so that I'm not having to add a color corrector and then a concealer for a double product that can certainly lead to more creasing and wrinkles under the eye. So now let's move on to this side and do some covering. This is the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Serum Concealer. This one claims to be 85% skincare. This also has a doe foot applicator. It comes in 22 shades and sells for $33. Let's just, because the doe foot applicator is kind of an issue on the Haus Labs side, let's take a look at the difference in sizes. I mean, it is quite a bit larger than the Laura Mercier side. Now, if you put your concealer on a synthetic brush and then apply it, which I do sometimes, just depends, then the size of the doe foot applicator may not be of any particular interest to you. This is also medium coverage, natural finish. hydrating, waterproof. Their marketing also claims that it lasts up to 16 hours and it is a water-based formula. So just like the other side, I'm just gonna put some dots up there. We're gonna let that dry for a second and talk about that 85% skincare. According to the website, it says that it has a hydrolipid matrix which delivers immediate and time-released hydration throughout the day. Awesome, because I need more hydration throughout the day in all areas. So if my concealer wants to deliver hydration, that's perfectly fine with me. It has paracress extract, which is said to firm and smooth the feel and look of skin. And it has green tea extract, which is an antioxidant-rich formula that defends against environmental stressors. If I could just lather that on my hair, the whole face, we'd be good to go. In fact, both of these are a creamy of enough formula that if you don't like to have full face foundation and you just do some spot coverage and leave the rest of your face bare, then both of these blend out really nicely. They're a thin enough consistency that you could do that and just do some spot treatments and you'd be fine. So now that that's dried down, we'll see how well this blends, how well it covers, and then we will see how our day goes. Because to me, the application is important, but it's the wear test. We are busy. We do not have time or the patience to look in the mirror in about 2 hours from now and think, oh my gosh, and have a disaster on our hands, especially in our under eye area. And if you wear glasses, your lenses may accentuate what you have going on underneath this eye area. So we want to make sure that it is a good product, not just in the morning or when we get ready, but all throughout the day. All right, so now that I think that I have both of those tapped in pretty nicely, let you guys take a look at it and see how you think they're looking right after application. I'm gonna add just a little bit of cream blush. This is the e.l.f. I think this is the Perfectly Peach. I just have really enjoyed this color. A little dot will do ya. You guys, it's so funny. My new rescue dog, her name's Dakota, but for some reason I feel the need to say she's a rescue dog so that I can explain her behavior that is not desirable at this point, but we're getting better as we work through some of her challenges. It's been snowing, and so now today it's warming up a little bit and the snow is falling from the trees. So there's a big window right here and she's sitting right by the window, and as the snow is falling from the trees, she's kind of growling a little bit. She's very protective, which I love. So if you hear little growls, it could either be my stomach because I do need to go eat something, or it could be the dog growling at the snow. I like using a damp beauty sponge to put on that cream blush because it helps blend together that concealer, the blush, and then my foundation, just so I have a more smoothed, uniformed look. Now, again, you could set all this with a powder if you want. You can add a little bit of highlight on top, being a powder or a cream highlight. But again, if you've got oily skin, this would be where I would stop with the cream products and start adding a few more powder products. If you've got dry skin, however, you could certainly apply a liquid highlighter and then maybe just a spritz of setting spray to hold everything in place. Last thing I want to do is give a little bit of definition to my under eye area. All right, so that is what both of these concealers look like after application. Here's the Haus Labs side and here's the Laura Mercier side. So we will check in a couple hours and see how they're holding up. So we are back at the 4-hour mark. I had intended on going a full 8 hours, but unfortunately I have been doing some editing. So that's the little mark on my nose. Apparently I need new glasses. They're a little tight. We're not here to talk about my glasses that don't fit the bridge of my nose anymore. We are here to talk about a fail, penalty on the field. And I'm a little bit disappointed. I have not worn this concealer for a little while and I'm not really sure what's happening. So I use my normal moisturizer that I use every day, and I didn't put anything else on top of the concealer that I would normally apply. The Haus Labs by Lady Gaga has settled into these deeper lines that I have on this eye. Now, the instructions do say to set these with a light coating of powder, so I think at the 4-hour mark, I have to give this one a fail. Notice the red light in the back, that signals fail. I use the same moisturizer that I typically use in the daytime in the winter, which is this night cream. You saw I used a very little amount and allowed that to absorb. I've done that before with several other concealers and haven't noticed this type of settling. So we're gonna wipe off both of these concealers. I'm gonna reapply them, and then I'm gonna set them with powder to see how they wear with powder. What this really tells me is if you have oily skin, that Haus Labs has probably got too much skincare ingredient, maybe too much hyaluronic acid, too much slippage. And once you add that product to more oily under eye area, you could really have a problem with it just not covering it, starting to kind of settle and slide. So I don't see the same kind of accentuated fine lines and wrinkles on this Laura Mercier side, which is probably why people love this one so much. So at this point, there's no need to go 8 hours with these results. I think we should start over, apply a little bit of powder, and see what that looks like at the 8-hour mark. Luckily, it's only about noon, so I can easily go 8 more hours with both of these concealers on. Now that we have reset both of the eyes, I'm gonna go in with just a little bit of translucent powder by Laura Mercier. Get a lot of it off the lid because I don't like to put much of this on at all. Then I'm gonna take a damp beauty sponge and just get what's in the lid, which is just such a small amount. Press that under that eye area once I have ensured that I've gotten out all of the fine lines and wrinkles. We're just gonna softly press that in to set that concealer. Same thing on Haus Labs side. Both look really pretty once set with powder. So here goes unexpected test number 2. Hopefully we can make it 8 hours. All right, you guys, so we are at 8:05 p.m., which means both of these concealers have been on for just over 8 hours now. And I am liking what I'm seeing with both of these concealers. So if you had work for 8 hours and then you needed to go straight to a kid's function, or you were gonna go out to happy hour or dinner with some friends and you didn't have time to touch up, I think you'd be happy with either one of these concealers. So which one looks better after 8 hours? I think the pigmentation on the Laura Mercier side has lightened a little bit or faded, because I can see a little bit of freckling on this side, which I personally am not a big fan of. I do feel like I get less of that purple or that hyperpigmentation coming through on the Haus Labs side. So that's a positive point for the Haus Labs side. The other thing I noticed is that on this Haus Labs side, the product did seem to grab onto a little patch of dry skin that I have in the corner of my eye. Now, in fairness, the dry patches aren't identical, so I don't know that I have a dry patch on this eye for this product to grab onto. So can't really judge that dry patch by the Haus Labs and say it's a negative, other than to say if you have dry patches, it may accentuate those dry patches. Some of the reviews that I read on the Haus Labs one was that people felt like it dried their under eye area more. I don't think it looks dry. I don't think either side looks natural, which is the finish that both claim to have. And the final thing I like to look at is how does the product look overall? Does it look dull? Does it look dry? Does it look cakey in the under eye area? Are my wrinkles accentuated? And when I look at both of these, I do feel like the Haus Labs side looks a little bit more wrinkly underneath my eye than the Laura Mercier side. And trust me, there are deep wrinkles on both sides. So which of these concealers wore better, wore longer, and helped the under eye area look better than without the product? Is it the Haus Labs by Lady Gaga? No, it's not. The Haus Labs by Lady Gaga has been dethroned by the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Serum Concealer. The one downside with the Laura Mercier Real Flawless is that it only comes in 22 shades, and their website's really helpful in helping you find the right shade. So there you have it, you guys. We have dethroned the Haus Labs, at least in the concealer side. It's gonna be a while before something can touch that foundation, in my opinion. But if you're looking for a good concealer that lasts a long time, that you can wear with just a little bit of powder so you don't have to look overdone, dry and cakey in your under eye area, I would definitely reach for the Laura Mercier, whether you've got oily skin or dry skin. And I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning. These videos are not sponsored. I pay for these products myself, meaning the benefit for me choosing one over the other is purely based on their performance on my more mature under eye area or mature skin, depending on the product. And then that information is shared with you, and hopefully it helps you make the best buying decision that you can if your under eye area is looking older like mine is. There is a solution. There is help on the way. That does it for me today, you guys. Have a good rest of your day. Watch for Sunday. I will have a new video out this Sunday morning, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.